and they strip you of your consciousness. They strip you of your history. When they strip you of your history, that's when they strip you of your consciousness. And they brought peoples from Africa. They didn't bring slaves from Africa. They brought peoples from Africa. They brought mothers, sisters, fathers, brothers. They didn't bring any slaves. Now, if you're still saying that they brought slaves, then you're still operating under that European consciousness. So you catch yourself when you say words like that. Oh, they brought this amount of slaves from Africa. They didn't bring any slaves from Africa. See, you're still under that European consciousness. When you get up under that African consciousness, you begin to catch things like that and correct yourself. No, so you come from underneath that European consciousness by learning, by researching your history. You're regaining that, which they stole from you. They stripped you of that. That's the first thing they did when they brought you over. They wouldn't let you speak your language. They stripped you of your culture. And culture, I'm going to read from the book here, the 59th page in the book. It says, what is culture? Okay. From their life experience, culture comes from your life experiences. Like your peoples was in Africa for thousands of years. And science says thousands of years. They were there thousands of years before they even left Africa. Okay? So all of that you had gained. All of that wisdom, that knowledge you had gained for thousands of years. Okay? And the intruder, the one that conquered you, he scripted you off that. So it was very important that he do that. Okay? Because he wanted to control you. That's how you control people. When you conquer them, you have to subdue them. You have to bring them under your control. And you do this by stripping them of their consciousness, of their culture. So it says culture, from their life experiences, a group developed a set of rules, procedures for meeting their needs. So your culture is what gets your needs met. All of that information stored away for you. It's just like on a computer, you store things away in files. So all of that is stripped from you. It's just like someone come in your office and strip everything. They take your hard drive, they take everything out. And you go to the computer to get your information. I don't know. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. So there was nothing there. We was walking around in this country after they stripped us of all of that. There was nothing else. It's just like you didn't have anything else. It was nothing there. They stripped it. Say, well, I can't remember that. No, you didn't have to remember because it wasn't there. They stripped it away before you was born. You see, the first people they brought over, say for instance, your great grandfather. As soon as he came over, they stripped it. They began to strip, and they beat him, and they say, don't you use your name. Don't use your name. Don't use your language. You got to speak the language we give you to speak. You see, they were subduing him, stripping him of his culture and things that he knew. Okay? And some of those things were very important. There was a story. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Well, it was a smallpox. It could have been smallpox. There was a man in Boston. Now I don't have my notes here. There was a man in Boston, and over in Africa, before he came over here, they enslaved him and they brought him over. But it was in the culture to treat smallpox. This was in Boston. And none of the Europeans knew about this. There was many people dying. But they noticed that the Africans wasn't getting sick. And he asked him, there was this church group that brought him over. And they purchased the man, and they gave him to the minister to, I was going to say assist, but to serve him as an enslaved person. So, but he realized that they wasn't getting sick, and the Europeans were getting sick. So he asked, "What's going on here?" And he says, "Well, over there in Africa, if anyone have that disease, we take some of that disease, and they take some of the smallpox off him, and they inject it into the person that was healthy, so he wouldn't get sick from it. It's sort of like what we went through the last few years. You had to get your shots. Get your shots, right? Inoculation. So he had immunity. He couldn't get sick because he had immunity against it because he had his shot. So that they brought that over here. The Africans brought that over here. Okay, that was part of their culture. But they stripped him of that. But it took time, while they were stripping that, the enslaved people still could remember because they have that in their the memories. But as time went on, many forgot that. As years went by, 40 years went by, another 20 years. So after a while, nobody knew about these things. But the Europeans, they had got that information. Okay, so a lot of things we just got to regain, and that's what we're doing now. We were gaining things that we lost, and that was necessary for our survival. That's why the African continent, the peoples there survived for thousands of years. The Most High gave them knowledge, wisdom, and a culture to sustain them. But when the Europeans brought the Africans over here into slavery, forced them into that terrible situation. They stripped them of their culture, their language, their names. They broke families up, and they took the mom. She had to go one way, the dad had to go another way, and the kids had to go another way. They separated them. That's how they conquer you. They divide and conquer. They divided them. Okay? But when you come back underneath that African consciousness, you come back together. You're no longer divided. It's a group consciousness. That's what Brother Amos is talking about here. A group consciousness. Okay? And as you go forward into this, you begin to walk into liberation. Okay? You need that consciousness so you can walk into liberation. Man can't liberate you. It's just like the nations of, even around the world. As I was saying, the British, they conquered most of the world. But even as they left those countries, and as they left Africa, left this country as well, the United States, we still has been colonized. You see, and you're still under their control, somewhat under their control. Even the so-called United States, they hasn't completely broken free from it. They still treat their peoples like subjects. Okay, so they have not. They say they have independence, but they still haven't broken away, and you can see that in African nations that had received their independence, most in the 1960s, and this is 2022, but like France is still